Hey guys, welcome into another week episode. Today we're making some meatballs. These are the same meatballs I use in my job. I always get rave reviews about them. So I'm going to give you guys my secret on how to make some really great meatballs on Prep, Cook, Plate, Repeat. Alright, so to get started with our meatballs, first thing you got to do is you got to use 3 blends of meat. You have to. We got a half a pound of each. Beef is for texture and for fat. Then we got pork for flavor, and we got veal for softness. So you got 3 different meats, right? So half a pound of each here. What you're going to do is, I got half a white onion and 4 garlic cloves. You're going to take this in your food processor, Vitamix, your NutriBullet, whatever you have at home that can chop things and emulsify. That's what you're going to use. So half of a white onion. I got 5 garlic cloves in there. You're going to take a nice bunch of basil with the stem. Throw that in there as well, right? That stem has a lot of flavor. Throw it in there. You're going to do a good amount of extra virgin olive oil to emulsify all of this sauce. Alright? We're talking here about 1/4 cup right in there. Once that's all in, you're going to take it to your blender. We're going to blitz that bad boy up. Alright, now our mixture is all done and ready to be poured onto our meatballs, and that's what you should be looking at right there. See, all nice and emulsified. It's not too liquidy. Got some body to it. That's exactly what you want. I'm going to take this, we're going to pour the entire thing right into our meatballs. Just like that. Beautiful aromatic garlic, onions, basil, everything you dreamed and wished for is in here. Beautiful. Oh, it smells delicious already. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to put that to the side. 2 eggs. Normally it's a pound. Normally for every pound we're doing 1 egg. So right now we got about 1.5 pounds. I'm just going to do 2 eggs. Crack them right inside. That's 1. That's 2. Do here a good 2 tablespoons of salt. You have to salt your meat now because you can't salt your meat later after it's cooked. Right? Use the cracked stuff. The cracked stuff is a lot better. More flavor, packs a punch instead of the really fine stuff. You don't want that. It's about a nice tablespoon right there of black pepper. Next thing you want to do is going to get some cheese. You can use Parmesan cheese. You can use Pecorino. You can use Grana Padano. Any kind of cheese you like. You can get this pre-grated already, which is fine. I just bought a wedge. I'm going to grate some of this right inside. We're going to say you want to throw about 1/2 cup right into here. So for 1.5 pounds, we'll throw 1/2 cup of grated Parmesan cheese right inside. Really want to flavor those meatballs with this nutty Parmesan cheese. Packs a nice punch. 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Right in. Now before we put the breadcrumbs, we're going to get into our hands. We're going to go right in with our hands. Alright, so get in there, mix it with your hands, really mix that up. Break that meatball apart. Break those eggs apart. Break that albumin apart in the egg, the white part, right? Break that all together. Combine all that Parmesan cheese, all that flavor, right? So once it's nice and broken up, and add our breadcrumb in. You just add a little bit at a time, which is totally fine. And then we're going to add a little bit more breadcrumb. We're going to wash my hands and add a little bit more breadcrumb. Alright, so now that your breadcrumb is in there, we added about 2 cups of breadcrumbs to this meat. Right? You don't want too much breadcrumb in there, but you want just enough to bind it all together. So we're going to put this to the side and grab a small portion of meat. Now you can use an ice scooper, you can use a 2-ounce scooper, you can use your hands, whatever it is. If you want a huge meatball, it's totally up to you. Alright, put a little olive oil in your hand, it's fine. That's the meatball right there. I'm just going to start rolling it. Alright, roll it nice. Alright, just like that. Just like Grandma taught you, just like Grandma taught me. Beautiful meatball. You place the meatball, you want it to fall a little bit. When it falls like that and it caves in almost, that's an indicator that you don't have a lot of breadcrumb in here, right? You don't want to bite into a meatball and it's full of bread. No one likes that. See, when you put it down, it gives a little bit, caves in like a foundation on a new house, right? It's got to cave in a little bit. That's what you want. So we're going to roll these meatballs out, and then we're going to move to frying them. We're going to fry them in a cast iron pan with some olive oil. Alright, so the next thing you want to do is once your meatballs are rolled, get yourself a nice pan. It can be a large pan, it can be a heavy duty pan or a heavy saucepan, whatever it is, whatever you have in your house. Fill up with some frying oil. You're going to put your meatballs in there very carefully and very gently, right? This stuff is real hot, right? We're going to go with 4 meatballs in there at a time. The reason being is we don't want to overcrowd the pan. When you start to overcrowd it, it starts to steam and boil, and then all this oil becomes water. We don't want to do that. We want a nice caramelization on that meatball to really bring out all the flavors, all that love that we just put in there, right? So you're going to probably fry this bad boy up for a minute or 2 on each side. And then we're going to flip her over. So once you get a nice color on that meatball, that's what you want right there. See that? That's exactly what you want. Flip her over. Do it to the same other side, right? You want continuous sizzling, continuous popping. So once you've done this to all your meatballs, you're going to put them to the side. You're going to let them rest, relax a little bit. And we're going to start working on our marinara sauce because we're going to pair this up with a traditional spaghetti meatballs. This is a great Sunday dinner meal. When the family's over, when the friends are over, this can be a date night meal, whatever you like to do. This is a really, really good and simple, easy meal. All right, so we'll be back to show you how to do the marinara sauce. All right, so next thing we're going to do is we're going to make the marinara sauce to go with these meatballs. You're going to do about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. So we're going to throw our garlic in there. We want to give our oil some nice essence. You start to see it start to turn a little bit. Add your onions in. So I had 4 sliced garlic cloves. And here I have half of a white onion diced. That's what you want to hear. A continuous sear. Just like that. Just like that. You're going to let this saute for about 3-4 minutes. Until it's nice and translucent, has a little bit of color. Alright, you really want to sweat those onions and extract all that beautiful flavor right out of them. Just like that. So sweat this for about 3 to 4 minutes, and we'll move on to the next step. Next thing, now that your onions are nice and translucent and everything is pretty, right? They're soft, fragrant, aromatic. We're gonna throw a little teaspoon right there. Tomato paste. Important key here is cook your tomato paste. You want to cook that rawness out from the tomato paste. So mix it, incorporate it, right? Let it get into that oil, let it cook out. A lot of people just do this and they don't cook it out, and then you have a tart marinara sauce, very acidic. This is one of the reasons why it's acidic. You want to make sure it gets cooked out. So once this is cooked, see now it's dissolved into the onions. That's what you want, right there. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to add our tomatoes. Throw that right in there. Throw that right in there. Boom. Traditional thing is you're going to add a little bit of water. Take your can, rinse out the excess tomatoes in there, and throw it right into your sauce. Just like that. Right? So your sauce is not too thick. You can go a little bit now. Because what happens when you cook the tomato sauce, you cook all the water out of it. And it becomes really pasty and dry, so to speak. You don't want that. You don't want a thick tomato sauce. You want a nice tomato sauce fluid here that Falls off a little bit just like that. And as it's cooking, just monitor that and watch that it doesn't thicken up too much on you. So now that your tomato sauce is in there, we're going to add some salt. A 1 tablespoon of salt. And then we're going to add our cracked black pepper. Next thing you want to do is throw your meatballs right in there. Gently place those meatballs so they can go swimming for a few hours. Now this is typically a dish that you want to get started early in the morning whenever you're making it. If you're going to work and you want to put this in your pressure cooker, or you want to do this in a Le Creuset pot like this on low flame, it's totally up to you. This is a meal. These meatballs should be sitting in there for a good hour and a half until they're nice and soft, not falling apart. We're going to check this back in about an hour, see where our meatballs are, check for tasting, check for seasoning. But you really want the meatball to sort of braise in the sauce, and you want the sauce to extract that flavor of meatball. So you want the sauce to start to taste like meat, to take that flavor on. So we'll check this in an hour. We'll check where we're at. We'll be right back. All right, so now that your meatballs are all done, you're going to cook your pasta until al dente, and then you're going to take some of that meatball sauce and you're going to throw it into a pot with some of the spaghetti. Plate. Just like that. Twirl it. Twirl that. Little meatballs. 1 and 2. And just ladle over some of that beautiful sauce that we made. Now we got to finish it, as we always do here at PCPR. Little Parmesan cheese. Alright, from the high heavens. Beautiful. And then no pasta dish is complete without some basil. Here's some basil leaves. And there you have it. Spaghetti and meatballs. Traditional Sunday dinner. Alright, so that's spaghetti and meatballs. Thank you for tuning in this week for Prep, Cook, Plate, and Repeat. Tune in next week for a new episode.